Now we are going to study about review of scientific literature in Sanskrit and physics and chemistry. So the Sutra Samhita is a remarkable example of ancient Indian scientific literature showcasing a sophisticated understanding of human anatomy, surgery, and pharmacology. Similarly, ancient Indian texts like Vedas, Brahmans, and Upanishads contain scientific knowledge in Sanskrit, physics, and chemistry, which includes cosmology and astrology. See, in the Vedanga Jyotisha, mathematics, Ninsula Sutras, physics, concept of atoms, molecules, and motions, chemistry, Rasayana, particularly material sciences, botany, plant science, zoology and animal sciences, which is Tamil Texas, is like Trikural. So these texts demonstrate a deep understanding of natural phenomena, laws of motions, and properties of matter, showcasing the scientific powers of ancient Indian scholars. So here I have some examples, which includes the concept of Pramanu, which is atoms in the Vedas. The descriptions of Panch Mahaputras, which is five elements in the Upanishads, the explanations of light and the color in the Brahmas, and the decisions of molecularly and material science in Ashtastra. So these ancient texts demonstrate a rich scientific heritage, which highlighting the contribution of Indian scholars to the development of sciences and knowledge. So let's forward to next topic, which is atom theory in Vesika Sutras. So here are some key points about the atom theory in Vesika Sutras. See, this Vesika school founded by the Kanda Kashyapa is one of the six schools of Hindu physiography, and it is based on the atom theory of the universe. The atom theory stated that the minutes unit of matter called Pramanu, which is atom, is invisible, eternal, and spherical in shape. All material objects are composed of Pramanu, which is atoms, and which combine in different proportions to form different objects. Its creation and reconstructions are explained by the combinations and dissolutions of atoms. The atomic theory of Vesika Sutras is considered a pluralistic realism and the metaphysical theory. The Vesika school accepted only two reliable means of knowledge, which is perceptions and inference. The atomic theory of Vesika Sutras is one of the earliest known systematic realist ontology in human history. What is the concept of motion in Vesika's sutras? The Vaisheshika's sutras expound on the laws of motions and the following concept. Means object in the motions tend to stay in motions unless acted upon by an outside force. Objects at rest tend to stay at rest unless acted upon by an outside force. Change of motions in proportional to the impressed force and is in the direction of the force. Action and reactions are equal and opposite. Five substances, which is water, fire, air, and space. Change in motions is due to impressed force. So, what do you mean by chemical reactions in Rusticanara? See, we are just talking about Rusticanara, an ancient Indian text on chemistry, and they meticulously describe various chemical reactions and processes, including chelicnizations, which is bhavna. See, heating melts to high temperatures to purify or oxidize them. Roasting, which is jarara, means heating metals in the presence of air to convert them into oxides. Reductions, which is vad, using reducing agents like charcoals to extract metals from ores. Distillations, with sambhavra, which is separating liquids based on the differences in boiling point. Crystallizations, which is sara, purifying substances by crystallizations. Fusion is a melting metals to form alloys. Sublimations, which is uthana, converting substances directly from solid to gas. Precipitations means nirvana is a following insoluble compound by reacting solutions. So these processes demonstrate an understanding of chemical reaction, thermodynamics, and material science, showcasing the advanced knowledge of ancient Indian chemists and metallurgists. Now we will go through about atoms theories, Kannada Vesikai Sutras. So here are some key points about atom theory. See, the substance are conceived as nine in number, as they have real objective existence. The nine substances are, see, Prithvi, which is earth, Ap is which is water, Tejas, which is fire, Vayu, which is air, Akasa, which is ether, Kala, which is time, Dik, which means space, Atman, which is self, Manas, which is mind. The Vaisheshika schools used an interesting syllogisms to prove that all the objectives are nine, made of invisible Pramanu atoms. The Tranisru, which is dust particles, are the smallest Mahat, which is perceivable particles, and are defined as tranquous. See, it is Tridas, each made of three parts, which is the Vankya. Each Divyanuka is made of two Pramanu atoms. Pramanus atoms are invisible and eternal. They can neither be created nor destroyed. Each Pramanu means atoms process possesses its own distinct vesici, which is individuality. Then we are just going through about the Kannada and Kandana and Vesisika Sutras. So here are some points about Kannada and Vesisika Sutras. Kandana, known as Kashyapa, is author of the Vesishika Sutras. The Vesisika Sutra is an ancient Sanskrit text that is a foundational to the Vaisheshika schools of Hindu philosophy. Karna likely lived between 6th and 2nd century BCE. The Vesisikai Sutras present theories on creation and existence using naturalistics, atonomics, logics, and realisms. The text discuss motion dharma, epistemology, self, souls, and nature of yoga and moksha. The Vesisikai sutras are divided into 10 chapters, which have two sections called anhaikas. The text defines and describes substance, quality, and actions, and their causal aspects. The Vesisika Sutras are considered one of the earliest texts on physics. Composition of matter. See, according to the Karna Vesisika Sutras, matter is composed of Pramanu, which is atom. It is invisible and eternal and spherical in space. Dravyanu, which is two Pramanu combined. Trinuka, which is Tridas, three Tranuka combined forming a Trinesu, which is dust particles. Mehet, which is gross object aggregates of driven sinews. So this hierarchical structure explains the composition of matter from atoms to gross objects and demonstrate an understanding of the nature of matter and it constitutes parts. The Vesisikai school's concept of Pramanu, which is atom, and their combination is remarkable given the ancient era in which it was proposed. It's showing a sophisticated understanding of the building blocks and of matter and structure of reality. Characteristics of atoms, which is according to the Karna Vesisikai Sutras, atoms have the following characteristics, which is eternal. See, eternal is the atoms are indestructible and eternal, they cannot be created or destroyed. Invisible, it is atoms are invisible and they cannot be divided further into smaller particles. Spherical space, which is atoms are spherical in a shape. Unique individuality. See, each atom has its own distinct individuality. Immutables, which is atoms are unchangeable and retain their properties. Invisible atoms are the beyond sensory perceptions and they cannot be seen or perceived directly. Infinite similarly small, which is atoms are extremely small beyond measurement. Mobile, which is atoms are capable of motions. So these characteristics demonstrate an advanced understanding of the nature of atom and their properties, showing a remarkable similarity to the modern atomic theory. So what is the meaning of Karna versus Sakaya Sutras? So here are some key points about Kannada Vesisika Sutras. The Vesisika Sutras is an ancient Sanskrit text at the foundation of the Vaisheshikas schools of Hindus philosophy. Kannada is also known as Kashyapa, as I told you earlier, and is the author text by Kanada lively lived before the advent of Buddhism between 6th and 2nd century BCE. The text presents theories on creation and existence using the naturalistic atomism, logic, and realisms. The Vesisika Sutras were likely compiled sometimes between 6th and 2nd century BCE and finalized before the start on the Common Era. The text discuss motion, dharma, epistemology, selves, souls, and the nature of yoga and moksha. The Vesisikaya Sutras is divided into 10 chapters and have with two sections which called Anhaikas. The text defines and describes substance, quality, and actions, and the causal aspects. The Vaisheshika Sutras are considered one of the earlier texts of physics. So, what do you mean by Kernera atomic theory? See, Kernera atomic theory states that all matters is made up of tiny individuals and indestructible particles called atoms or anu. Atoms combines in various ways to form the object and the substance. The properties of an object or substance are determined by the type and number of atoms it is made up of, as well as the arrangement of these atoms. Heat is the underlying cause of change as it is responsible for change in matter. Atoms could be combined in a variety of ways to produce chemical changes while in the presence of other factors such as heat. The blackening of earth pot as well as the ripening of the fruit are examples of this phenomenon. So, what are the characteristics of the atoms? See, according to the Kernera atomic theory, atoms, which is Anu, have the following characteristics. See, it is invisible. It cannot be divided further. Indestructible, which is cannot be destroyed. Eternal, have always existed and will always exist. Invisible, which is cannot be seen with the naked eye. Infinite similarity, which is extremely small in size. Unique individuality, which is each atom has its own distinct property. Immutable, which is unchanging and retain their properties. Mobile, which is capable of motions. Combining, can combine with other atoms to form molecules. Fundamental buildings blocks of matter. All matter is composed of atoms. So these characteristics demonstrate an advanced understanding of the nature of atoms and their properties, showing a remarkable similarity to modern atomic theory. So what is atomic theory? What is atomic theory? See, atomic theory is a proposed by Karnara and other ancient Indian philosophers states that the matter is composed of tiny, invisible particles called atoms, which is anu. Atoms are the eternal, destructible, and immutables. Atoms combine in various ways to form molecules and objects. The properties of objects are determined by the type and arrangement of their constituents atoms. Chemical changes occurs due to the combinations and separation of atoms. Heat is fundamental factor in causing chemical changes. So this ancient atomic theory shares similarity with modern atomic theory, which states that the matter is composed of atoms. Atoms are building blocks of matter. Atoms combine to form molecules. The properties of elements and compound are determined by the atomic structure. Chemical reaction involves the combination and separation of atoms. So the ancient Indian atomic theory demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of the nature of matter and the behavior of atoms, which showing a remarkable parallel with the modern scientific discoveries. So what do you mean by motions? See, motions is the in the Kannada Vesisikaya Sutras propose several ideas about motions, which includes the followings. I'm just going to discuss you right now. See, if change of motion is due to impressive force, change of motion in proportion to the impressed force and its in the direction to the force. Action and reaction are equals and opposite. The atoms must be spherical and it should be the same in all the dimensions. All substances are made of atoms with two types of atoms having mass and two being massless. Physics is the central to understanding the universe based on invariance principle. Kannada Vaisheshika Sutras are the an ancient Indian texts and present a systematic and structured philosophy of the physics, metaphysics, and ontology. The text is divided into 10 chapters, each addressing various topics such as substance, quality, action, motion, time, space, soul, mind, epistemology, liberations. So these are the 10 chapters which provide a unique perspective on the nature of reality, exposing concepts and like atoms, causalities, and the relationship between the substance and attributions. They also discuss the nature of self, knowledge, and the ultimate goal of human existence. Kannada Vaisheshikaya Sutras are considered a following texts of Vaisheshikaya schools of Indian philosophy, which had a significant influence on the development of Indian thoughts and sciences. So, what do you mean by nature of motion? According to the Kannada Vaisheshikaya Sutras, motions is the samanya is a fundamental property of matter. It's defined as a change of position, which is disha of an object caused by the imposition of a force, which is avarna, or the impulse abhogya, proportion to the force applied, directed along the line of the force. It can be either natural or imposed. Can be classified into three types: locomotions, vibrations, and rotations. See, locomotions means the change of the positions, vibration means is the oscillatory motion, and rotation is the circular motions. So, Kannada concept of motion is remarkable for its time as it anticipates some aspects of modern physics, such as the idea that motion is a fundamental property of matter, that force is responsible for change in motion. So, what are the characteristics of moving objects? Moving object have such following characteristics, which have the velocity, which is the speed at which an object moves; accelerations, the rate of change of velocity; direction is the direction in which an object moves; path is the trajectory of an object motions; time is the duration of an object's motion; cause, the force or impulse that initiate motion; displacement is the change in object's position; and locus is the position of an object at a given time. So these characteristics demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of motion and its various aspects, showing a remarkable similarity to modern kinematics and dynamics. So Karna's work on motions is a testament to the advanced knowledge of an ancient Indian philosophers and their contribution to the development of physics. So what do you really understand by Karnara Vesisikaya Sutras? So it is a foundational text of Vesisika schools of Indian philosophy, as I told you earlier, which is the one-sixth orthodox school of Hindu philosophy. The text is attributes to the ancient Indian philosopher Kannada, and who is believed to have lived around the 6th century BCE. The Vesisika Sutras are a comprehensive treatise on the metaphysics, epistemology, and physics, and are considered one of the most important texts of the Indian philosophy. The text present a systematic and structured philosophy that explores the nature of reality, knowledge, and the ultimate goal of the human existence. The Vesisika Sutras are divided into 10 chapters, each addressing various topics such as substance, quality, action, motion, time, space, soul, mind, epistemology, and liberations. The text is known for its unique perspectives on natural of reality, which is based on the concept of atomisms, and it details analysis of the nature of knowledge and the human condition. Now we go further about motion. So motion is the context of Kannada Vaisyasikaya Sutras. It refers to the change of positions or location of an object. It is described as a fundamental property of matter, and it described in the term of following aspects, which is velocity, the speed at which an object moves; acceleration, the rate of change of velocity; direction is the direction in which an object moves; path, the trajectory of an object motions; time is the duration of an object motions; cause is the force or impulse that initiate the motion; displacement is the change is an options object positions; and locus is the position of an object at a given time. So Kannada concept of motion is remarkable for its time, as it anticipates some aspects of the modern physics, such as the ideas that motion is a fundamental property of matter and that force is responsible for change in motion. The understanding of motion in Vesisica philosophy is also linked to the concept of atoms and their movement, which is seen as the fundamental basis of all the physics phenomena. Now we will go further about chemical reactions, Narjunas and Rustica. See, in Nagarjuna's, Rustica is an ancient Indian Ayurveda book that contains treatise of alchemy and provides insight into the chemical reactions. So, Narjuna Rasa Ratankara is the ancient Indian Ayurveda books that contains information about chemical reaction in the context of Indian medicines. The book was written in the 7th and 8th centuries AD, and it is considered one of the oldest book on chemistry. The book contains information on the treatment of various diseases, including the use of metal like mercury, and it also contains information on the refining and extractions of metal as well as analysis of the quality of herbs. The book was introduced by Kajali, a black sulfide compound of mercury, as a medicine. And it also discussed the use of other metal like sulfur, copper, and lead in the medicines. So, what do you mean by Rasa Ratankara is an Asian Indian art attribute to the Indian metallurgist and alchemist Nagarjuna, who was born in 931 AD. The treatise focus on the preparation of mercury compound and other insight into the status of alchemy and the metallurgy during the period. Some of the topics in the treatise includes the extractions of metal such as silver, gold, tin, and copper from ores, the purification of these metals, the production of brass and zinc. So, what are the chemical reactions? See, in Rasa Ratanakara, in the chemical reaction describes involves the transformations of substance through various processes, such as combinations. See, combination is the union of two or more substance to form a new compound. Separation is the separation of the compound into its constituent elements. Transformations, the change of one substance into another. Calcinations is the heating of the substance to remove moisture and impurities. Fusion, the melting of two or more substances to form a new compound. Distillations is the separation of a mixture through heating and concentrations. So these processes were used to prepare various substances, including medicines, metals, and other material. So Nagarjuna's works on the chemical reaction and their transformations, as well as ahead of its time, and laid the foundation for later development in chemistry. Now we will go for the Nagarjuna's Rastakara is a treatise of alchemy and the related subject that describes method for the expressions of metal like gold, silver, tin, and copper. It is considered one of the earliest documented texts in Sanskrit of alchemy, and its attributes to Nagarjuna, an Indian mechanist and alchemist who conducted experiments directed towards transforming base elements into gold. The book is testament to the progress made by an ancient Indian in the field of alchemy and chemistry. So, what is the alchemy in Sanskrit literature? See, it is a highly influential work about alchemy and medicines, and it is an example of Indian alchemy and medicines that describes and detail how to convert mercury into gold. See, it is a see, if you want to know a gen text with the scientific alchemist data, Kala Chakra Tantra, which it's 11th century complementary, Brahmala Prabha, a Buddhist text with the alchemist data. Rashadhraya Tantra of Govinda, one is the earliest systematic works of Hindu alchemy. Rastanatratna Samuchaya, a treatise on alchemy that dates back to between 13th and 16th century CE. Nature of chemical reaction. See, in the context of Sanskrit literature and the ancient Indian alchemy, the nature of chemical reaction was understood to involve parinama transformations, which is the change of one substance into another. Transmutations, the conversion of base metal into gold or silver. modification, the alterations of the properties or forms, and processing, the treatment of the substance to enhance their properties. Combination is the union of the substance to form new compounds. Separation is the separation of compound from a mixture. So these concepts demonstrate an understanding of chemical reaction as transformations that occur through various processes, including combination, separation, and transformations. So while understanding of chemical reactions was not as comprehensive as modern chemistry, it shows a sophisticated understanding of chemical process and transformation. So characteristics of chemical elements are, see, in the Sanskrit literature and Asian Indian academy, the characteristics of elements were understood to properties such as color, texture, and taste. Essence is the fundamental substance of principle of an element. Potency is the inherent power of effectiveness of an element. Karma is action, the ability to of an element to produce a specific effects. State, the physical state of an element such as solid, liquid, or gaseous. Combination is the ability to element to combine with other. Transformation is the ability of elements to change or transform into other substances. So these characteristics demonstrate an understanding of chemical elements as having inherent properties, powers, and potential for other transformations and combinations. So while understanding of chemical elements was not as the comprehensive as model chemistry, it shows sophisticated understanding of the nature of elements and having their behaviors. So at last, I just want to conclude. See, this is the chemical reaction which I talked to earlier. Now, I just want to conclude about the Asian Indian texts such as Karna, Visakha, Dashashika Sutras, and Nagarjuna Ratna Kantra was demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of chemical reactions, elements, and processes. The concept of motion, transformations, combinations, separations, potencies shows a deep understanding of fundamental principle of chemistry. So, while understanding of chemistry in this texas may not be comprehensive as modern chemistry, it is remarkable for its time and demonstrate the advanced knowledge and insight of ancient Indian philosopher and economist. So these texts highlights the significant contribution of ancient Indian scholars to the development of chemistry and the importance of understanding the historical roots of scientific knowledge. So the ancient texts of Kannada, Vesasikai, and Nagarjuna Ratnakara hold significant importance in the various aspects. Understanding the significant development thoughts, so they provide insight into the evolutions of scientific knowledge and philosophical ideas in ancient India. Contribution to the chemistry and alchemy, they contains valuable information on chemical reactions, elements, and processes, showcasing the advanced understanding of Asian Indian scholars. Foundation of Indian philosophy, Vaisheshika Sutras are a key text in the development of Indian philosophy, particularly in the area of metaphysics, epistemology, and logic. Historical significance. So these texts demonstrate the intellectual achievement and knowledge of ancient Indian civilizations, which is highlighting its contribution to the globe scientific heritage. Inspirational for modern research. Studying these ancient texts can inspire new research and discoveries in the field like chemistry, material science, and so, understanding traditional medicines, it is a valuable source for understanding traditional Indian medicines, which is Ayurveda, and it approaches to health and wellness. Cultural and linguistic significance. So these texts are important part of India's culture and having the linguistic heritage providing insights into the country's intellectual and philosophical traditions. So by understanding and by studying these Asian texts, we can gain a deeper understanding of India's rich scientific and philosophical history and its contribution to the world's knowledge heritage.